All right, RFK Jr. He's well, you know, a crank, as we all know. And for whatever reason, he seemingly thinks that being an expert slash giving advice on health issues is like totalitarianism. Now, I want like people to think about this for like literally 3 seconds as to why that's like probably the stupidest shit on the planet. To be honest, like people who are experts give advice on issues because they've done a lot of studying into those particular topics for many, many years. There's a reason why you need to have critical academic acclaimment in order to be a doctor. Like, you have to get a PhD and a, master's degree. You have to go through a lot of education in order to be able to do that. You do your bachelor's initially, then it's like an additional 8 years of like studying or learning. But for whatever reason, like, this is seen as like complete utter totalitarianism. It's probably like the dumbest shit on the fucking planet, to be honest. But what do we got here from the majority report?
Of people who seem to have contracted some type of mind virus or are having like some type of like delayed reaction to a vaccine about mind virus. Here is RFK Jr. on the Tucker Carlson show on Monday. This is after his really embarrassing testimony in front of the Health and Human Services Committee, where he didn't seem to know any of the information that Health and Human Services secretaries generally know. This is clip number 10.
That is true. Yeah, he recently had what? It was a hearing. He was in front of some people, and for like he just was incapable of like goddamn answering any questions. Basically, like this is the same dude who uses like ChatGPT to fucking come up with like sources on a goddamn on like a goddamn fucking citing for like vaccine numbers and stuff like that. Again, there's a reason why measles are like making a resurgence back in like more like lower vaccinated areas, broadly speaking, and like why people were dying from like, I don't know, overexposure to like vitamin A and stuff like that. It's complete nonsense. Like, RFK is just a complete crank, and he's okay with your children dying of measles. Like, I don't think it's like hyperbolic to say.
My opinion, I always tell people, is irrelevant. People, we need to stop trusting the experts, right? We were told at the beginning of COVID.
This is like, it's just anti-intellectual explicitly. Like, also, what do you mean by, like, not trust your fucking opinion? You're the Health and Human, like, secretary. This is your job. That's what you're supposed to do. Of course, you are wholeheartedly like uneducated and fucking unqualified in order to be able to just like have this position, because you're not a doctor. You're just a random like crank who soys out about like, I don't know, Andrew Wakefield tier conspiracies about like vaccines. And the only reason why you've been even brought into the coalition to begin with is because you represent a sort of health nut, like vaccine conspiracy theorist part of the Republican Party that emerged because of, COVID significantly, right? And you're bringing on, Trump bringing you onto this campaign is to help sort of assuage people from those problems, because again, or like those concerns, quote unquote, because of the fact that, Trump was the one who did Operation Warp Speed, right? Let's not forget about that. He did Operation Warp Speed. He's the one who sort of like brought the COVID fucking vaccines, as quickly out to the market as possible as they did. And, obviously this motherfucker had problems with that because of like, I don't know, like, insert conspiracy theory here. It's completely fucking stupid, dude.
Don't look at any data yourself. Don't do any investigation yourself. Just trust the...
Sorry, what data? Okay, sorry, I'll let it play on. Well, no, I mean, these are all relevant questions. Also, he's not an expert. So he's telling people not to trust him and to also not trust the experts. Like, the whole point of having a Secretary of Health and Human Services is so that we have a trusted voice on these things.
That's what I said. That's crazy. But yeah, like, it's because, like, the point is like, RFK Jr. doesn't want to be an expert. He just wants to be, like, a crank and push, like, I don't know, whatever stupid, like, health nut conspiracy theory bullshit, because he's a conspiracy theorist. He doesn't, like... I don't know, like, I call him, like, one of the greatest champions of fucking Nurgle of our time, and this is, like, quite literally it. He is pro-disease. Like, I don't think there's, like, any other, like, way to really put this besides the fact that he just wants people to die of like preventable diseases of which vaccines exist for. Like he just wants people to die. It's actually crazy.
And while there may be, arguments as to whether public policy could have reacted to COVID better, and I certainly think that like we should have had more resources in classrooms, teachers definitely want to get back into class, but they want to do so in a way that was not exposing them. We know the implications now of long COVID for kids. There's been a lot of immunocompromise, immune system compromise with kids with long COVID. We know questions of myocarditis. I mean, just the FDA came out with a report that said, myocarditis was a risk of after the vaccine, but the risk of myocarditis following COVID infection is greater than the risk of myocarditis following
from the vaccines. Yeah,
vaccination. This is from a study entitled Myocarditis.
And this is like the main thing that all the conservatives were like constantly pointing to, saying like why you shouldn't take the fucking vaccines was the myocarditis shit. And it's just like it's like that's just not even true. Like you're more likely to get myocarditis, quite literally. Like it's really, really stupid. Yeah, like it's just. No, I think he probably, like, conservatives are okay with people dying, Gata Naranja, right? RFK Jr. pushes, like, all this, like, health nut fucking bullshit because I think he's just, like, he doesn't care about the poor. He doesn't care about all this stuff, like, quite literally. I don't think it's, like, ridiculous to be, dishonest about this, right? Like, I do think that he's okay with like poor people dying. He doesn't give a shit about them at all, because why would he like push any of this stuff to begin with? He has like economic incentives, generally speaking, for as to why he's doing this, right? Like he does the hawking of like the health nut shit all the time. It's a grift that he has companies about this stuff, like quite literally. So there is financial incentive for RFK Jr. to be able to push this kind of stuff.
Parasititis following the mRNA COVID-19 vaccination in FDA's biologics effectiveness and safety system. But go ahead.
People, we need to stop trusting the experts, right? We were told at the beginning of COVID, Instagram, don't look at any data yourself, don't do any investigation yourself, just trust the experts. And trusting the experts is not a feature of science. It's not a feature of democracy.
Pause it for a second.
It's a feature.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, feature of fucking democracy. It's not about being democratic when it comes to listening to experts in terms of science. And what do you mean not a feature of science? They're the ones who did all the studying into this stuff. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's stupid. Like, this is literally what they do a bunch of studies into. They look into this stuff. That's what they literally do. Like, that's how the scientific method works. A bunch of people look into stuff, and then it gets intellectually rigored by or checked, and there's rigor there in order to sort of like check to make sure that is what used to sort of like make sure that what is being said in the study and the results of that study are corroboratable, that they are replicatable, and then become, well, scientific fact. That's how that works, RFK.
We're not scientists. The reason why I don't trust me to look at the data and make an assessment is because I'm not a scientist. Like, Joe Rogan is out there on a platform of 15 million people and can't even decipher a Washington Post article about climate change. He can't, like...
That's a really good point there by Sam Cedar. Yeah, like, again, the reason why people say to do your own research constantly all the time is it's mostly meant to be as like a sort of deflectionary thing, to be like, don't listen to any experts, just like, look into things on your own, just come up with like whatever idiotic interpretation that reaffirms your particular biases. That's the point, because again, for a lot of people, this is a cult, quite literally. Like it's a cult, like the whole health nut anti-vaccine stuff. They are a cult who have a lot of problems in terms of like, I don't know, trusting sort of like authoritative voices, broadly speaking. They have problems with that and are more likely to sort of fall into like conspiratorial cult-like rabbit holes and can easily fall for like idiotic shit that RFK Jr. hawks all the time. And keep in mind, RFK Jr. has a financial interest in terms of all this stuff. That's why he pushes the stuff that he pushes.
Like, I'm sorry. The American public is not in a position to assess data. They're not going to look at the raw data of studies.
That's also
But I'm
true.
sorry, like the extent that people do their own research, they will look for experts. And the anti-vaxxers like RFK and Rogan, they have their own who purport to be experts too. It's that Malone
We
psycho.
do, but they're on Instagram.
Right, it's the Malone and the Weinstein brother that's a psycho.
They also have monetized their YouTube channel, so you know they're experts on this.
They're not collecting data. They're like vaguely putting at VAERS. That's the closest thing they get to any sort of data collection.
Oh,
Like,
but
what a
you
joke.
ignore all the data in VAERS.
Yeah, they don't do like any do all like these like the Weinstein brothers and all these anti-vaxxers, do they do like the appropriate sort of like studies in order to be able to prove any of their positions? No, they never do any of that, because if they were, it would constantly disprove them. Because again, like I've been saying before, it's a cult, right? That's like the first like principles, right? Like it is a cult. You have to adhere to the ideology of, I don't know, being pro-disease, basically. That's like the point of the cult. And you need to have people suffer for, like, no reason. Like, quite literally.
I mean, I contextualize it, but okay.
It's not a feature.
Okay. Are you okay? Okay, you're contextualizing it. Okay.
Like, I'm gonna do my own research, but I'm gonna avoid anybody who knows anything one way or the other more than me on it. Like, I don't understand what this call to research yourself is, but also disregard anybody who's purportedly an expert.
Experts is not a feature of science. It's not a feature of democracy. It's a feature of religion, and it's a feature of totalitarianism. In democracies, we have the obligation.
Yeah, so that's like the main thing I want to look at. It's a feature of totalitarianism. No, the fuck it's not, dude. Like, what do you mean? The process to do a study is they collect a bunch of fucking people in order to be able to test for a particular thing. That is a more inherently fucking people-focused democratic fucking process. Yeah, also I thought conservatives liked religious fucking dogmatism all the time. Yeah, like he's doing the fucking constant fascist thing where he's like speaking out of fucking both sides of his mouth. That's how you know he's just like a complete crank.
And it's one of the burdens of citizenship to do our own research and make our own determinations about things.
About public health? No. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No.
about public health, I don't think so.
This is absurd. This is absolutely absurd. Are we supposed to take our own samples of like city wastewater? Do assess?
Hey, RFK, yeah, maybe like, hey, RFK, maybe you need to drink some fucking sewage water or something. Maybe you need to drink some water from, like, a particular, like, river in order to be able to, like, assess how, I don't know, safe it is to swim or something. I bet RFK Jr. would probably do something like that, I don't know, drink some of his own, like, wastewater, be like, yeah, that's good shit water or something. Yes, spasmodic dysphonia is his voice condition, yeah. There was like a failed surgery he had once or something, and that's why he has the problem with his voice. But yeah, like, maybe instead of like drinking your own sewage water or some shit, maybe you need to sort of, I don't know, a magic ritual in order to be able to get like, I don't know, like acidity readings in like drinking water in order to be able to assess that it's safe and okay to drink. Like that, like that's the thing with like people like RFK Jr. Like, it's ridiculous. You can't expect the public to be able to do stuff like this on their own because they have not gone through the education needed in order to be able to make those particular assessments themselves. Also, what's up, Bisky? RFK also wants everyone to send their health info via Fitness Watch. Really? Wants every American to wear a fitness tracker and take control of their health, but we have questions. Bro. This isn't like, are we actually for fucking real, dude? He will do, like literally anything possible to avoid people having to go to, like, a doctor. He'll just, like, suggest it. Like, this is, like, the stupidest shit on the fucking planet. Like, wearable fucking smartwatches aren't always going to have perfectly accurate fucking data in terms of, like, your fitness. This is, like, it's stupid, dude. It's really, really stupid, dude.
That's what's going on in terms of like whether COVID's going around. I mean, like, this is absurd. This is absolute nonsense. You have a guy who's in charge of public health policy who fundamentally does not believe in public health policy.
Yep.
For each individual of a society to decide what they're going to do when it comes to an infectious disease is completely antithetical to public health policy. He perceives it as totalitarian. To look at anything in terms of what is best for society. This is why he thinks climate change is just like some type of like excuse for totalitarianism.
So this is a point also I want to talk about, like what Sam Cedar is bringing up here. Yeah, he is like these people, I've said this before about conservatives. Conservatives are anti-society. They are anti-human. They do not believe in humanity, like quite literally. Anything else, like in service of fucking hierarchy and in service of accumulation of more power is, well, you know, just all about, you know, doing everything possible in order to just, well, maintain a hierarchy and a system of control. Like, that's always the first order principle with, like, people with, like, you know, who want to do, like, all this health nut hawking, like, cult bullshit, right? It's about, like, maintaining the cult systems of hierarchy and control. And RFK Jr., again, like I said before, he has financial incentives for as to why he wants to maintain his, like, health nut sort of, like, conspiratorial anti-public health status. Because, again, if you cared about public health, a lot of the stuff that he, you know, hawks and talks about is just, like, you know, not great. You know, he's not going to be able to make as much money from it. Like, that's the problem here. All about maintenance of hierarchy and control.
Yep. I mean, this is a guy, I can tell you, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, thought libertarianism was bunk. And now has been libertarian brained as a way to, well, because of the negotiations he didn't have with Kamala Harris. Had he had those negotiations with Kamala Harris and traded off his campaign support for whatever sinecure it was that he was looking for, he would be saying none of this. None of it. But she wouldn't meet with him. And therefore, his principles are such that I've got to figure out a way to support the non-totalitarianism that's involved with the brown shirts going around with ICE. I mean, what are we talking about here? It's totalitarianism to say that, like, we need public health policy. We need to mandate a vaccine that we found that will help reduce the spread and help reduce the severity of a pandemic. I mean, this is just absolute insanity.
Well, you know, again, like, this is, like, your mind on, like, what? Libertarianism, right? It always goes to, what? It always comes back to, like, totalitarianism eventually, every single time with, like, especially with, like, American libertarians. It always just, like, horseshoes back around to sort of being, what? Like, all fascistic and nationalistic and stuff like that. It's never been about libertarianism with these people. It's always been a farce.
It really is, and it's nuts. All right, one final phone call.
Okay, I think that's pretty much done for that bit. More into this sort of, like, idea that, like, RFK Jr. just does not think he should be an expert and just simply just does not believe in, like, public health, to be honest. You know, total fucking crank shit.
This is a congressional budget hearing, I guess. I don't know. Here's Mark Pocan asking Kennedy, incidentally, where are we at for measles right now across the country?
It's here.
North of 1,000, I would imagine, at least.
I think it might be helpful, as you previously said, you vaccinated your children. Just because I think this is a helpful answer, and this isn't a gotcha, I promise. If you had a child today, would you vaccinate that child for measles?
For measles, probably for measles. You know, what I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant.
Wait.
Yeah, RFK, they should be quite relevant. You are the Health and Human Services Secretary. That's kind of your point, right? That's, like, your purpose. You're supposed to have an opinion on stuff like that. But again, this is, like, the stupid, like, libertarian sort of brain rot that's going on here, where he's just like, well, I can't really impose anything on anyone because it would go against the non-aggression principle and shit, like, and, you know, whatever, like, stupid shit like that. It's fucking nonsense, dude. It's complete nonsense.
Can someone give me a flowchart and tell me, he's the Secretary of Health and Human Services. He hires the head of the CDC, or is his boss, right?
He also recommended the Surgeon General nominee.
It's weird. His opinion on whether people should get
Oh,
vaccinated.
dude, that Surgeon General nominee, he's like a complete, like, crank faith healer who just, like, sells fucking vitamins all the time. Again, like, for all these people, it's all about the grift, right? That's, like, the point overall.
Is it relevant?
Yeah, my opinion on which...
I'm curious, is there a law that forces him to do everything in his power to make sure that people get vaccinated against measles? Do we have statutory obligation by the head of Health and Human Services to make sure that that measles vaccinations are promoted? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. That's a fascinating answer. We have over 1,001 confirmed cases. and they are outbreak associated. Maybe 928 of them.
It's been making a comeback.
There were 16 outbreaks reported during 2024. This is in 2025. When he came in, there were less, I believe, than 250. There have been 3 confirmed deaths from measles in this year. You have 1,001 total cases. Let's hear again. I just want to hear if I heard him correctly. He is the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Vaccinate that child for measles.
For measles, probably for measles. What I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant. I've directed Jay Bhattacharya
Sure, no, like I said, I don't want to,
so that everybody can make that decision. But I don't want to seem like I'm being evasive.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny. I don't want to make it seem like I'm being evasive, buddy. Like, what the fuck do you mean? You're exactly being evasive. You just said, like, please talk to Jay Bhattacharya. Which apparently he is a guy who exists. You know, this, like, I don't know, supposed, like, world-renowned, like, immunologist that RFK Jr. loves to talk about all the time. But, you know, if you try to look him up at all, like, you can't find shit on him. You know, if he was, like, so world-renowned, RFK, then there would probably be some, like, articles or anything from him, anything at all that you can look up about him. But, like, the dude's just, like, a total ghost. So it's just, like, yeah, world-renowned.
But I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me.
Right, no, I got that.
I'll pause it for a second.
I agree with that.
I mean, I do agree with that no one should be taking medical advice from fucking goddamn RFK Jr. But, like, at this point, you're just not doing your fucking job because, like, again, for whatever reason, like, the libertarian, like, totalitarian fucking brain rot that he is suffering under is just like, buddy, like, if we're talking about stuff like public fucking health, things that are for the public good, then you should also be against, like, any fucking law, right? Murder, like, being anti-murder is a totalitarian position, right? Because you are infringing on people's right to want to fucking do murder, quite literally. Like, does that mean, like, RFK Jr. is pro-murder? I mean, he's pro-diseases murdering people, seemingly. But, like, like, this is what I mean. Why you can't make, like, the sort of, like, totalitarian argument when you're just, like, saying, like, well, you know, you can't listen to experts on everything because that's just a totalitarian position. It's not democratic. It's just like, well, on certain things, you shouldn't have, like, democratic fucking goddamn votes or anything. You need to defer to, you know, a lot to certain people who have a much better idea. And that being, like, people who study diseases, who basically study, like, epidemiology, who study immunization, immunology, and stuff like that. So, like, honestly, in terms of, like, totalitarianism, there's a certain, like, you know, amount of, like, totalitarianism that, you know, I think I'm kind of okay with. Like, or like, not totalitarianism, or, like, authoritarianism. And when it comes to that of, like, I don't know, public health, I don't really have much of a fucking problem with that. Because RFK, you have zero qualifications to be a health expert. You just, like, randomly, like, kill whales and strap them on top of your car for some reason in order to, like, I don't know, dispose of a carcass or some shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, dude.
People should not be taking. In fact, you know what else he should not be doing? He should not be in charge of health policy for the entire nation.
Yeah, that's kind of why we
Public health, the highest ranking public health official in the country.
Tell it to the
330 million people, and he's the guy in charge. He's the guy in charge of public health. People should not be taking medical advice from me. Well, maybe people should not be calling you when they got a headache, but this is a question of public health. Go ahead.
I don't want to seem like I'm being evasive.
Yeah.
But I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me.
Right, no, I got that. And I'm not asking you to give them medical advice, but would you vaccinate your child for
measles?
measles?
Answer that question directly. That it will seem like I'm giving advice to other people, and I don't want to be doing that. I want people to make
But that's kind of your jurisdiction. The CDC does give advice, right? I'm not trying to do as a gotcha. It's just
Oh, pause it. How about doing it as a gotcha? How about doing it as a gotcha?
Who should they take it from then?
Yeah, personally, I think, yeah, you probably should just do it as a fuck. Like, fuck this bullshit, dude. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is your job. Again, like, if you didn't want to do the job of, like, a totalitarian in your mind, RFK, like, why the fuck did you take the job? Like, at this point, like, there's, like, does RFK not believe in self-agency at this point? Like, why take the position at this point? Like, at some point, you have to ask yourself, like, are you just, like, a brain-dead child or something? Like, do you need someone to, like, wake you up in the morning to tie your shoes or something? Like, at some point, you have to be able to understand, like, there has to be some form of agency here. Like, this is what I mean. This is incredibly childish. the sort of like line that it's like, you know, totalitarian, authoritarian to give people advice on health, of which you are supposed to be an expert in. But again, the only reason why RFK Jr. is even in the position that he is in is it's purely fucking political. Just a political thing. Because again, Donald Trump wanted the health nut, sort of health conspiracy theorists on his side because, again, he was afraid of potentially losing that coalition because of, well, Operation Warp Speed. He was the one who did that and pushed for it and wanted people to get vaccinated, which could have caused problems with his political coalition. Right? We've heard like the speech during like 2020 where he was saying like, you need to get the vaccines, folks, and he got booed. He got booed. He's like, no, it's okay. I understand. You know, I totally understand. Like, it's really, really stupid. You know, it's ridiculous.
Not doctors.
If the U.S. government can be completely out of the picture, why do we even have a CDC? Like, why do we have a CDC?
That's true.
I mean, if the measles vaccine is unhealthy for people, why would the CDC not come out and say it's unhealthy? It's either good for public health or it's bad for public health. And if the CDC can't determine that, we don't need a CDC. And if the CDC is not going to tell us what its findings are, then we don't need a CDC. I mean, that seems to be the theory behind all of the cuts. We don't need public health. Everybody should just go online, maybe ask ChatGPT or whatever it is, make their determination as to whether or not there should be a vaccine. And then incidentally, we should also hope that the private firms that are supposedly making the measles vaccination have done it according to, you know, good standards. Because
yeah, hopefully.
We don't have a CDC or anybody else.
Yeah, because, you know, private firms totally aren't going to skirt regulation from the CDC in order to make a profit at all. RFK, you wouldn't know anything about that now, would you? Also, like, real quick, in terms of, like, the hyperbole that I'm engaging in, saying that RFK Jr. is, like, pro-disease and is okay with, like, people dying to diseases, I don't think that's hyperbole. Like, we know about the positions that he's currently hawking here. He does not have a problem with, like, people dying because of vaccines and not getting their fucking vaccines. Like, quite literally, like, this year alone, and this is an example that I mentioned earlier, Agata Naranja, he said to a lot of the people, like, a lot of the areas that were getting measles outbreaks in lower vaccinated areas. Yeah, he's also responsible for a measles outbreak in Samoa, which killed a bunch of people. But this year alone, a bunch of kids died due to vitamin A overdoses. A bunch of them died because of, overdoses to vitamin A, in terms of, like, what I'm saying here. The reason why I say, like, RFK Jr. is, like, pro-disease and he is okay with people dying is because of shit like that. He's willing to hawk, like, complete idiotic, like, nonsense conspiracy theories because he has a financial interest for people to not get vaccinated. He has, like a health nut company. It's all financial interests for him. Where is it? Yeah, he used to be an environmental protection dude. And then he got into conspiracy theories, all about, like, chemtrail conspiracism, HIV/AIDS denialism. That was one of the other things that he was big into. So he denied HIV and AIDS from the 80s and stuff like that. He has drawn criticism for fueling vaccine hesitancy amid a social climate that gave rise to the deadly measles outbreaks in Samoa and Tonga. He's a founder of an advocacy group called Children's Health Defense, which is an anti-vaccine advocacy group and proponent of COVID-19 vaccine misinformation, and has written, well, multiple books about this. He has a financial interest because, again, he wants to be able to sell books through his, well, vaccine advocacy group. Like, he has an interest. Like here. So I don't really have a problem with, like, being extremely hyperbolic and saying that, yeah, I think RFK Jr. is pro-disease by being anti-vaccine. Like, he has a bunch of books that he's written. So he has a financial interest in terms of being, well, anti-vaccine. So he's okay with, like, he doesn't care about people dying. Yeah, that's a good point, Alex. Yeah. RFK Jr. took his family to get bathed in, like, some, like, weird storm sewage runoff thing. Like, and it was really, really weird. I'm gonna continue.
provide standards for these things at that point. Why would you provide standards for vaccinations that you don't think are in the best interest of public health?
That's true.
It's a waste of money. I mean, this is so effed up. It's so effed up.
This should have been the follow-up.
What would you say you do here?
Like, what's your job?
Exactly. Oh, here, let's just watch the Kennedy's.
What is RFK's job? Oh, thanks, Sam. Hey, Alex. There we go. The sewage, the random like little stream that has like I don't know, like a bunch of sewage runoff in it or something. It's so silly, dude.
Apparently a not safe creek to swim in.
Well, whatever.
Sure.
We'll see. Maybe I'll be fine. I mean, this is just insane.
That's the thing is like, yeah, you as an individual, it actually is relevant what you've been saying on vaccines, even before you had the position that you admit you're apparently not qualified for, whether it's measles here or abroad. And now that you do have that Secretary of Health and Human Services, it is relevant that you message positively about the measles and don't act like it's some sort of mystery of science.
One never knows. One never knows.
Yeah, they should trust doctors who say, what the answer should have been is, don't take it from me, take it from medical professionals would say, of course, idiot, vaccinate your kid for measles.
He went to Texas a few weeks ago and met with the family of someone whose kid died from measles, and then was sort of pressured into saying he does think people should be vaccinated for measles, but I guess he wasn't under oath there, so.
Union Muppet, my union, Sesame Workers Union, made workers for the nonprofit behind Sesame Street, will be having its vote count tomorrow. We expect to win big. Everyone can follow our Instagram or Blue Sky at Sesame
Blue Guy.
Worker. I'm going there right now.
Followed.
You know, it's all the equity.
Union stuff.
What about Worcester Equity? El Conniption, Mendoza line. That's what it was.
Okay, I think the Sam Cedar's just like replying to a bunch of like IMs that he got. Okay, cool, lovely. Real quick, we got to bring in the big man himself. What? We have a statistic on autism that's the worst I've ever seen, and he's gonna change it. I don't know exactly how he's gonna do that. I don't know. Like, Andrew Wakefield tried to change it with his like autism vaccine. It didn't work or some shit. Like, I don't know. It's the goofiest stuff in the world, and we all know that Andrew Wakefield like was just doing this in order to patent a particular vaccine so he could make millions of dollars off of it. Like more often than not, for most of these people, there's a lot of financial incentives and interests.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's really doing it good.
He's doing it big, folks.
He's great, and he's a little different, right? We needed somebody different.
He's built different,
autism,
folks.
You go back, I guess, 18 years, 10,000, think of this, out of 10,000 people, okay? 10,000 people, and I'll go a little different way. Right now, out of 10,000 people, 18 people they're safe. 18 people. We have a statistic on autism.
Well, I don't what is? I don't know. We just getting some old man rambling right now. I don't know what the fuck this man is talking about. Out of 10,000 people, we have a statistic, folks. Let me tell you.
That's the worst I've ever seen, and he's going to change it. He's going to change it. It used to be 20 years ago, you just didn't have it. And now it's a number.
That's just not even true, by the way. Like, again, the reason why a lot of, like, autism diagnoses have started to, like, go up significantly is because, generally speaking, the technology has significantly improved in order to be able to catch an autism, like, someone being diagnosed with autism. Like, that's why. Like, yeah, dude, like, it's currently, like, a lot higher, and that's mostly attributed to the fact that, like, the detection methods have gone significantly better, but, like, RFK Jr. wants to blame it on, like, an airborne disease or something. Like, it's really, really stupid.
Numbers that are unbelievable.
So unbelievable,
The
folks.
numbers are so bad, it's got to be artificially induced, and we're going to find out what it is, and when we're going to find it out as soon.
Well, this is pretty fucking dangerous rhetoric, like, trying to make, like, an immediate, like, sort of enemy distinction with, public health, sort of stuff like that, trying to come up with, like, some kind of a scapegoat instantaneous. But then again, it's the fascists, right? Like, fascists have to make anything into scapegoats, make anything into a fucking enemy at all times, in order to be able to, have their public, their supporters in constant fear of, I don't know, like, vaccines or something in this particular case. It could be really anything.
As possible. I mean, you think about it, the numbers have increased by 200-fold. And that's really something, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. That's a terrible situation. Likewise,
I don't know. Are you gonna make how are you gonna do that, Trump? Like, are you just gonna make the problem go away by, like, ignoring it? Again, the detection methods have gotten. That's, like, the primary reason why, like, a lot more autism diagnoses have been detected and found is because the detection methods that exist have gotten significantly better. That's like the point. But again, you know, like this silly like little fun point here being put aside. The problem is, again, is if you think that fundamentally, like, what your position is that of like an authoritarian, totalitarian sort of position of like providing like health advice or to people, like, you are wholeheartedly unqualified and uninterested in putting, like, you know, public health first, right? And we know that like RFK Jr. has financial interests for as to why he wants to, well, you know, push stuff like this forward. Like, he's written books about this. He's probably gonna write like another book about this. He's written, like, he's a part of like public advocacy groups that push like anti-vaccine misinformation. He has an interest there, which is why he pushes what he pushes, this like health nut anti-vaccine conspiracism type stuff. Like, that's the main issue here, right? So he's gonna do like the whole like libertarian like simp like coded mind stuff or whatever like pretzel like jujitsu nonsense in order to be able to justify his positions, in order to be like, well, you know, like, I want to be able to say that like and push like whatever I don't know, like whatever like sort of ad hoc justifications I can come up with in order to be able to sort of push forward and have like a lot of positions. I'm going to say like positions that sort of are congruent with that of anti-vaccine positions, because I have an interest of this. And it makes sense why like RFK Jr. used to be like more left-leaning before, right? Like, it was more left-leaning people who tended to be sort of like conspiratorially minded, especially like in the like late 90s and the early aughts and stuff like that. And then it's like it's changed a lot with the sort of like cultural zeitgeist and, you know, like stuff like 4chan and stuff like that. Like all I really have to say is, in terms of this position, is what, to be honest, like, RFK Jr. is a crank. The reason why a lot of this stuff is able to catch on more easily is because of like a fundamental like death of like critical thinking and education that has happened, broadly speaking, in the United States of America. And that's like probably the broadest reason for as to why a lot more conspiracy theory and stuff like that is able to like catch on. And, you know, advent of like social media and people not being able to socialize as much is also like a huge contributing factor to all this. And that's why like it's a lot easier than ever for people to get caught in like this sort of like conspiracy theory like rabbit hole and stuff like that. As to why it's just like, yeah, dude, like, it's easier than ever to sort of like fall down this like idiot rabbit hole and not have anyone to pull you out of it. Well, you know, because of just how easy it is for people to be able to fall down these like particular rabbit holes and stuff. It's just unfortunate to have to see, to be honest.